Welcome everyone to this video about journalism and mass communication. For the past few days we are discussing about history of Indian journalism. And today as a part of these discussions we are going to see Press Council of India. If you want to understand journalism and if you want to understand media and press in India as a social institution, our knowledge about Press Council of India is the basic. So this is the basic knowledge upon which we can understand Press Council of India as an organization. So there are many umbrella organizations in India for different departments. We can take UGC for example. If we take UGC, then we want to know the responsibilities of that particular organization and we want to know the functions that it has to do and its restrictions also. Likewise, we have to understand the Press Council of India as an organization and how it functions in current Indian atmosphere. Okay. So, along with these introductions, today we are going to give importance to the quasi-judicial functions of Press Council of India. So, in this lecture, we are going to concentrate on this particular function of Press Council of India. Let us have some of the introductory details about Press Council of India. So it is set up in the year 1966 by the Indian Parliament and it was set up based on the recommendations of the first Press Commission. We already discussed about the first Press Commission. It gave many recommendations and based on these recommendations, Indian government followed many activities and among these setting up of the first Press Council of India is one of the recommendations by the first Press Commission. And why was this recommendation given? It was to improve the standards of press in India and particularly regarding the topic that we are going to discuss today. The fourth point is important. Press Council of India inquires about the complaints against and by the press. So it inquires about the complaints against the press and by the press. And there is another point here. The present Press Council functions under the Press Council Act 1978. So this Act, 1978 Act of the Press Council of India is very important regarding the Press Council. We will have an elaborate discussion about this particular act in a separate video. So now let us go into the functions of the Press Council of India. There are two important functions of the Press Council of India. The first and foremost importance is to its quasi-judicial authority. And the second one, advisory council for the press. So it acts as a quasi-judicial authority and it also acts as an advisor for the press and journalism and the news agency, etc. etc. And today we are going to discuss about the quasi-judicial authority. What does this word mean, quasi-judicial authority? It means, here we have the simplest explanation in the second point. It has all powers of the civil court. So, it can inquire, it can pass orders, and it can settle things correct as the normal court is doing in Indian Republic. So that is what we are calling Press Council of India as a quasi-judicial authority. The word judicial means, so if there is any problem, we will go to the judicial authority and we will raise the problem with that particular court and then an investigation will be done. So at first, the first step is a complaint will be registered against someone and the next one, investigation will be done and at last, justice will be delivered and the things will be set right. So all these things will be done by judicial system of India and Press Council of India has this power of the civil court. So the word is important because regarding Indian judiciary we have civil courts and criminal courts and here Press Council of India has the powers of the civil court. So for example, if there is a problem within press, So if a particular person is raising an issue regarding freedom of press, so the Press Council of India has the power to investigate, and it has the power to pass the orders to set the things right. So this is the foremost function of Press Council of India. If there is any problem, that is what is given in the first line. The explanation is given there. It's a statutory, quasi-judicial authority functioning as a watchdog of the press, for the press, and by the press. So this definition, you could have recalled the definition given to the democracy of the people, for the people, and by the people. The same here. So this is a quasi-judicial authority, and this authority, it is formulated. The council is formulated by the press, and the people of these council are all journalists, so of the press, and it is formulated. The Press Council of India is formulated for the betterment of the press in India. Okay, so let us have to understand this quasi judicial authority. We must have the basic knowledge about the structure of Press Council of India. So at first it is headed by a chairman. So the head of Press Council of India is a chairman. He is called the chairman, and most in all the time we have a retired judge of the Supreme Court of India as a chairman. So in you could have seen that. So if there is an inquiry commission formulated by the government of India, there would be a retired Supreme Court judge there. So likewise here in Press Council of India, we have a retired Supreme Court judge as its head. And second one, there are 28 other members. So excluding chairman, there are 28 other members in the Press Council of India. And here we must concentrate on another aspect also. So we discussed about the first Press Council and second Press Council, and now we are discussing about the current scenario of Press Council of India. In all these councils, the number of members vary. So here we are discussing about the present Press Council of India. There are 28 members, and there are rules. So these 28 members should be selected from a particular domain of knowledge, and there are exact numbers allotted for each domain of knowledge or each domain of work, as we can see here. So 20 members from the press, nominated by the press. So we will have news agencies, we will have newspapers, magazines, and there are lots of people working in this particular field. And Press Council of India is for press. So as it is for press, the people from these areas should be given importance. So there are 20 members from press, and these members should be nominated by the press. So there should be no interference by the political authorities or by any other system of India. So it should be nominated. They should be nominated by the press. And the second thing, 5 members from Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So MPs from Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there should be 5 MPs from uh, these two upper and lower houses of India. So at last we have one from each of the three areas. These three are important. One is culture, another one is literature, and at last law. And these three fields are closely related with journalism. So at last these three people should be nominated. So at first we saw that 20 people from press should be nominated by the press, and here the person from culture should be nominated by Sahitya Academy. The person from literature should be nominated by UGC, and the person from law should be nominated by Bar Council of India. So at first 20 people, and then 5 MPs, 25, and then one person from culture and one from literature, one from law, so totally 3. We have totally 28 members. And now you can understand the structure of Press Council of India. Most of these people are from this uh, domain, from this journalistic field, and so if there is any problem, these people will handle that problem. Okay. So now the tenure, the term for a particular person. So if a member is selected as for the Press Council of India, the tenure of that particular person will be for 3 years. Okay. And if there is council, there should be some fund. So without fund, we cannot without fund, the council cannot function properly. And here, press council has its own regulations. If there are lots of news agencies, newspapers, magazines registered under the council. So the registration is very important, because only if you are registered in Press Council of India, you can have some of the rights to some of the rights. So most of the newspapers, news agencies will get registered under Press Council of India. So they will consider these registered newspapers and magazines, and if a particular newspaper crosses 5,000 copies of circulation. So take example, if there is a newspaper, if that daily newspaper crosses 5,000 copies of circulation per day, then the Press Council of India will collect a particular amount of fee from that news agency. So like this, Press Council of India will collect fee from all the registered newspapers. So if the newspaper didn't cross 5,000 copies of circulation, then they will not collect the fee. But if it crosses 5,000 copies of circulation, they will collect fee from that particular newspaper, news agency or magazine. And with the help of these amounts collected, they will manage the activities of Press Council of India. And if there is any shortage of money, they have the right to ask for the help of the government of India, and the government of India will meet their needs. So at last, we are here in quasi judicial functions of the Press Council of India. There are two. The first one is to inquire about the complaints raised against the press, and the second one is to inquire about the complaints raised by the press. So we are discussing about the quasi judicial functions, and within this quasi judicial function, it can be divided into two parts, like complaints against the press and complaints by the press. So okay, what are all these complaints? So the first one is complaints by the press. So as we discussed in the beginning, the foremost importance of Press Council of India is to safeguard the freedom of press. So if there is any problem regarding the freedom of press, it should be solved. So as press is the fourth pillar of democracy, it should function without political and without political and social bias. And for that, Press Council of India gives most importance, utmost importance. So now, what are the complaints? Who can raise these complaints? We have here in the second point, a newspaper, a journalist can complain against any organization, individual, state government or central government who hinder the process of a journalist, or who are interrupting the freedom of press. Okay. Now let us have an elaborate discussion about this. So if an individual or an organization, the organization can be a government owned organization or a private firm, but if these organizations or if an individual is not allowing the press to function properly, for example, if a press is physically attacked because of a publication of a truth, then the press has the right to register case against that particular individual. So for example, if a newspaper publishes a news against a particular organization, so if that a particular for example, let us take a factory if that particular factory harms the environment, let us consider a particular newspaper publishes a news regarding the pollution caused to the atmosphere because of that particular factory. And if the members of that particular factory assaults a journalist or the news agency or the buildings, okay, owned by that particular news agency, and the press has its entire right to raise the case against the perpetrators to the Press Council of India. And then abuse of press by external agents should not be left unnoticed. This is the importance here. If anyone comes and disturbs the morality, the ethics, and the freedom of press, it should not be left unnoticed. Now we are in the second part, complaints against the press. What does this mean, complaint against the press? For example, if a news is printed, if a news is printed wrongly, or if a news is intentionally printed to defame a particular person, if to defame a particular individual, then that particular individual has the right to complaint against the press. That is what is given here. But before raising this complaint to the press council, there are many steps followed. So I am repeating it once again. Let us take example an individual. So if an individual who this person can be a favorite one among the population. So this person can be a celebrity, or this person can be a one who is not known to anyone. இந்த உலகத்துல யாருக்குமே தெரியாத ஒருத்தரா கூட இருக்கலாம், அப்படி இல்லைன்னா நல்லா தெரிஞ்ச ஒருத்தரா இருக்கலாம். ஸோ இவங்களுக்கு எதிராக ஏதோ ஒரு விஷயம், உண்மைக்கு புறம்பான ஒரு விஷயத்த நியூஸ் பேப்பர் பப்ளிஷ் பண்றாங்க, அதனால தன்னுடைய தனி மனித பெயரும் அதுக்கு அவங்களுடைய புகழுக்கும் களங்கம் ஏற்படுது அப்படின்னா, அந்த தனி மனிதர்கள் இந்த பர்டிகுலர் செய்தித்தாளுக்கு எதிராக அவங்களுடைய குறைகளை கூறலாம். ஸோ this individual can raise complaint against the press. Okay. So, but before registering the complaint, you should follow these rules and regulations. The first one is raise the issue with the editor of the particular newspaper magazine. So, if a particular news is printed against an organization, it can be an individual, it can be an organization. If a particular news is wrongly printed, at first what you should do is you should write a letter to the editor of that particular newspaper. So you should write that, yes, I am the owner of this particular company, and the news that you published is entirely wrong, and you should raise this issue with the editor of the particular newspaper and magazine. And if the editor accepts that, yes, okay, this is a mistake on my part, or this is a mistake unnoticed by me before it giving it to print. So if that editor accepts that, then there should be no other issue about that. So if the editor apologizes, then the problem would be solved in the first level itself. But if the editor doesn't take any action, then the individual or the organization can raise the issue with the Press Council of India. Okay. And another important thing is there should be no cases pending regarding this particular issue in courts of Indian Republic. So if you have already raised or registered a complaint in Indian courts, then you should not come once again to the Press Council of India. Okay, because once you register a complaint in Indian judiciary, then it should be dealt with only by Indian judiciary, and Press Council of India cannot interrupt in it. And that is why they are saying that if there is no cases, Press Council of India will take that particular case. But if there is already any case in Indian courts, Press Council of India will not handle those aspects. Okay. Now, complaints against the press. Any individual organization can complain against a news agency for the breach of journalistic ethics. So this word ethics is very important, because When you are in the field of journalism, you should give utmost importance to ethics. You should not with the freedom that you have in your hand as a journalist, you should not interrupt with individual freedoms. You should not give false informations. You should not give biased informations. And if journalistic ethics are not followed, an individual and an organization can complain. And the second one, against professional misconduct by an editor, working journalist, staff of a newspaper, or engaged in freelance work. So you can raise individual complaint against all these professionals also. And the importance here is the freelance writers also. So even freelance writers are under the purview of Press Council of India. They cannot escape from the rules and regulations of Press Council of India. And at last, regarding the publication of, okay, why are you against what you can complain? The first is publication of a news item, or cartoons, pictures, photographs, or even advertisements published in a newspaper magazine. So even advertisement means, for example, if there is an advertisement given in a newspaper which is entirely wrong, or if the particular product is harmful, you can raise complaint against the newspaper. So even advertisement is given utmost importance. Wrong information should not be given even in the name of advertisement. Now, the duration within which a complaint must be raised against press. This is important. So in Indian courts, you can raise a particular issue even after a few years. So now we are often looking at these aspects. A particular crime would be done against a person before 1 year or two, and the issue will be raised just now after nearly 2 years. So this is accepted in Indian courts, normal courts. But as far as Press Council of India is concerned, if you feel that a particular news item is disturbing if it is wrong, you should raise it within 2 months. If it is daily newspaper, if it is news agencies, and if it is weeklies. So you should raise the issue within 2 months. And in other cases, you should raise the issue within 4 months. So the time frame for raising the complaint with Press Council of India is also important. Thank you.